Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Total Football Talk. I'm Keith, and thank you for joining me today. And we're going to look at all the latest news coming out of Manchester United. And we are heavy in the transfer market department at the minute. And this is due to the international break taking place. There's tons of news coming out. And we're going to look at some of the players that are being linked with Manchester United, and I'll give my views on whether I think these kind of links are legit or not. Top story is apparently Angel Gomes has refused a contract from West Ham, and it's being brought to you by Caught Offside. They're sort of mixed bag with some stuff they're good, some stuff they're not so good. So pinch of salt with this one. For anyone who doesn't know who Angel Gomes is, he's he played for Manchester United. He was in the youth team. He made a few appearances in the senior team. He was the youngest player ever to have kind of graced our first team. He was 16 and a certain amount of days whenever Jose Mourinho brought him into the team back in the day. He was played when he played for Manchester United in the youth team, he was either on the wing or he was a 10. Since then, he's developed into a different type of player. He currently was part of the England under-21 team that won the European Championships a couple of years ago. Was it last summer, sorry, and he's become more of an 8 kind of ball-playing midfielder. He likes to sit in there and he likes to dictate the play. And he's very technical. He's very good on the ball. Now, do I think he's the right type of player for Manchester United to look at? I think we're maybe looking back at Angel Gomes because when he left Manchester United, it was about opportunities and he couldn't find the pathway into the first team. I mean, now he probably would easily get into the first team if he had stuck around, but obviously he wanted to go and play football. He went to Portugal, and then he went to France, and now his contract is up at Lille, and it looks like he's turned down a £100,000 a week from West Ham. He is on a free, so he will be free, but I think he will be looking for quite substantial wages. Now, he is very heavily linked to Manchester United. Get your comments in. What do you think? Would you like to see Angel Gomes come back to Manchester United? As I said, I remember when watching early clips of him, he was absolutely brilliant in the youth team. You know, he was part of the England under-20 World Cup team that won that World Cup a few years back, alongside the likes of Phil Foden, and there was a host of other players that are currently making their names now that were in that team, like Mark Gahey and there was a raft of names. I can't quite think of all of them off the top of my head, but there was a core player. There's a lot of those players from the under-20 World Cup team that have gone on to do very well. I said Angel Gomes was the captain of that team and went on to win it. Very, very, very talented player. Would I like to see him back in Manchester United? If he fits Rubin Amorim's system and Rubin Amorim wants him, I hope that is the way we're potentially looking at this, rather than it being a case of, we're just going to bring him in because he's on a free and we are in sort of financial difficulty, and that's not the way we should be looking at it. It shouldn't be a case of we just need to bring a body in to fill maybe Ericsson going, for talk's sakes, because he's on a free and there's no transfer being involved, but he still will want high wages. So we will have to kind of see how that plays out. But yeah, so that's the news. That's the headline this morning. I'll run through the rest of them, and it's potentially good news on Ayden Heaven. We'll look at that. Rasmus, there's some news coming out on Rasmus. Let's get our teeth into that one. We understand that Manchester United are still keen on Xabi Simons, but we'll look at the fee on that and see what we're thinking about that one. We'll look at other players being linked from Borussia Dortmund and from Mainz, and then a little stat on how Manchester United get very little break between games over the last couple of years, and maybe what kind of effect that's had on the squad. But okay, as I said, so that's the Angel Gomes news. This was the news that was coming out yesterday, and it was just good news on Ayden Heaven. He's been in Carrington without a protective boot. You must surmise that it's not going to be too long after the international break that he will be back. So I think it's good news on Ayden Heaven. If he's at Carrington and he's kind of walking freely, I think that can only give us hope that it wasn't a season ender. The kid didn't fully understand what it was like to have an injury, so hopefully it's all good. He could be back very, very soon. We've got an extended break because after the international break, it's the FA Cup weekend and we don't play in it, and we've essentially got 2 weeks off to get players back. Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, gives them the opportunity to get some training time in and potentially be ready, and hopefully Ayden Heaven is also going to fit into that, which would be nice. And now moving on to Rasmus Højlund and the story that was breaking from TalkSport. And Rasmus Højlund is expected to leave Manchester United in the summer. Now, there's a lot of talk at the minute about swap deals for Rasmus Højlund and Osimhen. And I mean, obviously, Rasmus came from the Italian league. He was at Atalanta. He was still very unproven and we paid a lot of money for him. He's come in, had one good season in the Premier League. He's found it very, very difficult this year, but he's starting to kind of find a little bit of form now, with an assist and a goal in his last 2 games. But, I mean, where are we with this? Tell me what you good people think out there. Do you think that Rasmus will stick around in the summer? I think he will, and I don't believe this because I think if we do sell him, we have to make for sort of monetization and FFP and PSR and all this kind of stuff. I think we're going to have to sell him for 50 million, and I just can't see anyone spending that kind of money on him. So I think Rasmus will still be here next year. But I still think we need an experienced striker. And if Osimhen is the one to come in and we do a swap deal, I mean, that's good. Obi Martin's coming through, so maybe he would be the backup striker to Osimhen if he did come in. But would Osimhen fit the system? Do you like Osimhen? What do you think about Osimhen? Get your comments in below. If you're enjoying the content at the minute, guys, thank you very much for everyone who has subscribed. Thank you very much for all the likes and all the views. I really, really appreciate it. Tap the old subscribe button, bottom right hand corner of the screen. That'd be amazing. Hit a like on it if you're enjoying it, and let me know your thoughts on Rasmus. If you would like to see him stick around, or if you think he's not good enough due to the poor season that he's had, let me know. Would love to hear from you. Okay, so that's where we are with Rasmus. And now there is this Xavi Simons story. And now we know that under Ten Hag, and whenever Ruud van Nistelrooy was here, we know that Ruud van Nistelrooy was very keen to bring in Xavi Simons. And I think if we were to look at something like this, it would be because I think Bruno's changed in position. Xavi Simons could maybe play in that 10 role. He has got a lot of the qualities I believe that Rubin Amorim would like. And it's understood that Manchester United are still keen on Xavi. The club's never lost focus on him in addition to a striker. They're also looking for a versatile attacking midfielder. And the problem with Xavi Simons is he's very expensive. RB Leipzig are demanding 80 million. However, a departure of Simons is possible, and it's reported also that Manchester United are monitoring the player from the Bundesliga, Benjamin Sesko and Hugo Etike. Now, there's been a lot of talk yesterday about Sesko and Etike in particular, but I believe water's been kind of thrown on those fires. I don't believe Etike is going to come to Manchester United. He plays for in Frankfurt, I think. But I just can't see us going for him. Sesko, I've got a feeling he's going to go to Arsenal. If he's going to go anywhere, he is up for a move. But do we need another young striker coming in? As I said, if Rasmus leaves, we need an experienced striker. And as good as Sesko is, I don't know if he's the right person to come in and replace Rasmus. Xavi Simons, on the other hand, I think would work very well in that 10 role, has done it for the Dutch, knows how to kind of maybe fit into that 3-4-3 system. But I think that we just can't afford this. For me, this is probably a no-go. There's no money in the market for us to buy an £80 million player. And now there is more transfer speculation, and that's exactly all it is Manchester United want to sign Borussia Dortmund midfielder Felix Nmecha this summer, and are willing to offer 40 million. And that's coming from Sport Bild. And they're usually pretty good in terms of reporting on who on where we are with German players. But I just have a feeling that this is another bit of speculation. Manchester United are on the market for a midfielder. He is an attacking midfielder. He does have a bit of a checkered past. He has got into a bit of trouble in the past with some of his comments that he's made on kind of social media platforms. But his statistics are they're not even as a midfielder for this season. He hasn't really, in terms of goals and assists, he's not really up there with anyone. So I don't know about this. We'll keep an eye on this one, but for me, it's probably just paper talk at the minute. And then there's Mainz player Jonathan Burkhardt. Butchered the name. Graham Bailey is saying that Manchester United are keen on. He's an attacking midfielder, could play that 10 role. He has scored a lot of goals and has a lot of assists in the German league this year, playing for Mainz. Again, I don't know too much about him. I've just looked a little bit at him this morning. So another one, obviously, but it looks like we're looking for midfielders and attacking midfielders. And so are we in the ball? Are we looking for players to fit the system? Angel Gomes also falls into the midfielder camp. So between the striker and the midfielder, there seems to be a lot of pace gathering at the minute. But I just think it's a lot of talk. Last year, I mean, whenever we bought De Ligt and Mazraoui, we didn't know we were getting them until very late in the market. I think Fabrizio Romano, Larry Whitwell and David Ornstein are the three goats that talk about the transfers and have a really good understanding of where Manchester United are. So all this is, I think, is just speculation and people throwing names out there that are being linked to Manchester United at the minute. And then finally, we'll just look at the last little bit, and this is just a few statistics. Manchester United have played the most matches with less than 72 hours between them. So if you look at that, we have had an absolutely tough journey on the old kind of European front and Premier League front, and I think this has maybe hindered Manchester United's ability to get players back fit and ready, because we have played a lot of football. You know, you look at the likes of Dalot, who's been absolutely rinsed. Mazraoui's the same. You know, you've looked at even Bruno has just carried on playing. God knows how, the man's a machine. But yeah, just looking at that, Manchester United have had a rough ride in terms of playing a lot of minutes and a lot of games, and I think its tolls had it on the players and the injuries we've had. It's not the only reason, but I think it's a big part of it. I just thought it was interesting to bring in at the end. Guys, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I'm going to leave it there. Hit a tap on the old subscribe, bottom right hand corner of the screen. Thank you so much. A like would be amazing. If I could get 10 likes on this video, I'd love it. And yeah, I will leave it there, and I'll see you tomorrow.